Okay, I'm going to call us to order at 7:02. Got a little
Ricky, will
2
you
minutes behind the 8 ball.
wheel that chair to me?
And we
Oh, no,
have
never mind, I'll go sit over
everyone
here.
with the exception of our counselor present. Mr. Coffey called me a short while ago indicating that he wasn't feeling well. And I was certainly in agreement. If he's not feeling well, we don't really need to have him here taking a chance on how well we all feel. So he's unable to be here this evening. I've got our sign-in sheet. No one indicated any interest in addressing the board tonight. I'm going to assume that's still the way it is. We have a few things that happened, came up today, some again at the end of the day. So the agenda changed quite a little bit along the way. We'll get to everything and see how things work out. I've asked Rick to give an update on where we are at with credit card use at the clerk's window.
I have finally opened up the second account with the bank onto it. Now we have to pass a resolution to give to the value payments to be able to accept the credit card at the certain rates that they are on the thing. The only credit card we're not going to be able to take or process are Canadian ones. So other than we'll be able to take the 47 most popular ones that the bank.
Are you exaggerating or is that literal? Are there literally 47 different cards that are out there?
47 different cards
Wow.
that the major credit card companies would, whether it be points or bonus things or cash back or whatever, but there's 47 different ones.
It's like Heinz.
Yeah. So, and they're all valued at different percentages when they're taken in. So that's where we're at. So after the town passes the resolution, and then we'll go farther with the contract and signing it and getting the equipment and stuff.
We do have a draft, you probably saw in your packet, for the next regular meeting. We'll get the town attorney to review the agreement. It looks very much like the agreement that we had with the tax receiver's office. Now, Rick, in your office, that would be used, I know we've talked a lot about the contractor that comes in, they're representing a company out of Cleveland, now they have a project, they want to pay for their permits, that would cover them.
Yep.
What about, and I've sort of said in jest sometimes, things like, dog licenses where it's very, very small, but could a person use their credit card if they wanted for something as small as a dog license, a fishing license, hunting license?
But the only, all of this other stuff can incorporate, the only thing is for DEC, because the way DEC processes it and takes their, the fees vary so much on DEC stuff, that's why DEC doesn't really take a credit card, like Gander Mountain and all, they lose money on taking a credit card to be able to do hunting and fishing licenses and that.
But
They're working on a volume, when that guy goes in, maybe he's gonna buy something else.
But that's the
in store.
vendor point of sale.
Right.
Here, the person who is the owner of the card is the one who pays the fee.
Right, correct.
So-
But these, because DEC, when we sell a license onto it, it goes into our account when we sell it either by cash or credit card. And then DEC automatically swipes that money out of the account. So it's not something that we don't pay them anything, they automatically swipe.
If my license is $20, they're going to swipe $20.
Right, and then they figure out the percentage of the thing on a sale that DEC, that you get on DEC
Right.
sale.
But the person, the holder of the card is
This
paying
one
whatever
pay-
the
right,
fee
is gonna
is to
pay- right,
PayPal.
correct, yep.
Or not PayPal, who are they? Value.
Value payments,
And DC's still getting their full amount, we're not losing anything.
right,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
yep.
So if somebody wants to, and I don't know, somebody had told me a long ago, and I could also go online and pay for my fishing license with a credit card from home if I wanted. Do you know if that's correct?
Through DEC, I
Yeah.
don't know, I have no idea.
Aren't we the point of sale if it's, if we're selling a particular license?
What's that?
Aren't we the point of sale if the license for hunting or fishing or whatever? We're the
But
point
our
of sale.
relationship with Value Pay is different than a retail relationship when you use a credit card. That's why you see a lot of things, gasoline up the road is a better price per gallon if you use cash, because the vendor loses a percentage when they make that deposit with your credit card. That won't happen here. It's a different setup for government.
Right,
Well, what is the fee then for 2.45%? I know you have to pay
that's.
$1.75 per transaction, and the minimum credit card and debit fee, convenience fee is $3.95.
Right.
Now on top of that, you pay
The
2.45.
town doesn't pay me
amount.
that. Town doesn't pay me that.
That's-
I'm asking about,
the individual.
I'm asking
Okay.
about who the.
I just
the
want to make
town
sure
pays.
we clarify the town isn't paying any of those fees.
But it says 2.45, is that supposed to be $2.45
No.
or 2.45%?
2.45%.
So somebody pays a substantial amount of money,
Exactly,
they're paying, say they're paying taxes or something.
right.
They
Well,
pay
they have a
$1,000.
minimum, there's two minimum fees on it, depending on the credit card that you pay. It's either $3.95 or $1.75.
Well, almost, I mean, most all of those 47 that you're talking about are credit card and debit cards, and that's nearly $4, $3.95 a charge per person, per transaction.
Per transaction up to a certain amount.
And then you have 2.45% on top of that.
If it's a large fee, yes.
So, a transaction fee would be $52.95 if you're paying like $2,000, $26 if you're paying $1,000. So the person's paying that much more, plus the $3.95.
Right.
But that's for tax and taxes.
Yeah, well, everything is paid, no matter what goes out of that office, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
they're gonna pay $3.95, which, you know, the dog license is what, $7?
I was looking for the numbers from the tax receiver's office. If you remember, Rick, please share. I was asking Jackie, and she was saying how her number of credit card sales has risen dramatically. And especially individuals who are out of the area, paying their taxes, paying their water bill. It's much easier for them just go online, pay it with the credit card fee than, you know, fool around with the check and the stamp. And
I was at Jackie's window today, and a gentleman came to register a dog, and the first thing he asked is, do we take credit card?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the credit cards for the dog's $1.75. So if it's a $15 fee,
If people use an ATM on average, it's probably at least $2 to use your ATM. You know, some places are charging upwards of $5. So I think it's become one of those things where people understand for certain services, they're going to utilize it, so.
Or bring the cash in.
And we're not saying
Just
that
an
they have
option.
to use that.
And this is the agreement, I assume, that we have here in front of us. So on page 2 and 2.5, it says chargebacks, notwithstanding the foregoing, which, you know, the foregoing tells us that we don't have to pay, the merchant will ultimately be liable for all chargeback liability derived from transactions processed by VPS. So,
What
supposing
item number is that, Tom?
2.5 in the middle, notwithstanding the foregoing, merchant will ultimately be liable for all chargeback liability derived from transactions processed by VPS. So if we, in fact, those transactions are processed, and then the person that used the credit card doesn't have it, it says that, according to this, we're the ultimate liability.
Doesn't have what? The person who used the credit card doesn't.
Doesn't go through, doesn't, you know,
But we're always liable though.
well, we shouldn't be.
A credit card transaction won't go through, it's not like a.
If someone
check
sends us a check, and the check doesn't go through, until we can, you know, get those funds back, we're still gonna be liable for those funds.
I think we have no liability in the process. I think
Yeah.
what they're talking about is if somebody charged $20 for a license and there was no payment made because it was a fraudulent or insufficient or whatever, we still have that license out that has a $20 value and it's unpaid. We're gonna have to follow up with the guy that gave you the card and say, you know, you gotta bring me another card, bring a check, bring some money, or void it. They don't chase that, but we aren't, there's no other fee there.
Yeah, but we're
The
not,
conversation I had with Jackie is, Jackie indicated to me that, you know, before they process, they receive a confirmation that the card, you know, has been approved. So they don't,
Well, the terminal that they're giving us, we have to physically have the card to swipe in the machine.
Mhm.
And it tells you right there if it's a authorization, an approval code and all of
Right.
that. So you print 2 copies, one goes to the customer, one gets tagged to the receipt, it goes in a drawer for
Yeah.
accounting purposes.
that's what she was saying.
I mean, in business, you took credit cards, did you, Rick?
Yeah.
It's
I
a-
was fortunate because we used to turn all the credit card payments back to the gas company. So there was no, you know, it didn't make any difference.
I mean, for your office, my understanding, it's gonna create a couple more steps rather than just take the dog license, put it in the drawer and
Right.
turn it
Well,
over.
it's just, BAS has to modify, there's a thing in the system that we're not paying for now, but we will, for when all this gets set up.
Mhm.
It's in there and it just hasn't been activated, that's all.
You had someone in today talking about licenses. April's around the corner, we're assuming it'll get here and the weather will improve. Are we all set with fishing licenses? I know we
The only
we
thing
had
you don't
problems
have is
last
the
year
paper.
hunting.
They haven't sent a new paper color.
That's late every year, isn't it?
It's just, they are so,
What have they said?
they're waiting for powers to be to decide on where they're gonna buy it from. After the screw up from last year, but with that multicolored paper, then they went back to the paper that they had from the previous year to go ahead and use that, and never mind using the green camouflage because it ruined the printer. And the company that made it, the coating over it was doing something to the printing head, and a lot of people had to replace the printers because it ruined the printer head. Where we were fortunate enough that, you know, the first couple it wouldn't print, it would print, then it wouldn't print, then it would print. And I called the guy, he said, take it out and put last year's color back in it.
Do we have any of last year's left over?
I've got half a dozen rolls of the,
So you
of
use
the
that,
yellow.
you could use that until the new ones come.
Well, when they come up with what colors that they're gonna use, they should have had it already in January. Now we're into April and I called the other day to find out. And they sent me the fishing books, which doesn't do the color of the paper, you know. So I asked him, I said, what do you, he said, I can't tell you because the people upstairs haven't made a decision on where they're gonna buy it yet.
I mean, it almost sounds like the goal is not to have them out, and then we can catch a few people fishing without licenses.
Well, no,
That's crazy.
last year, DEC sent notice to all the game wardens to honor whatever color paper was out there.
Yeah,
So maybe they're gonna do that this year, but we haven't got any notification.
I mean, you're gonna, well,
I've got green, yellow, brown, tan, and that camouflage now, so we've had on inventory. So whatever they let us use.
or find out if they'll let you use one of those
Well, I asked them
temporarily.
that, the other day,
It's
we're gonna
crazy.
be able to use, what color can we use, you know? He said, I can't tell you, because I don't know. So. And I had one gentleman come in today that he purchased a lifetime license, and we printed it on the yellow paper, and I hope that flies.
Do you have the ability, if the color changes and someone comes back with that, to say, could you print it again
Has to go
on the
to-
right color?
It has to go to DEC. Because every time you go to reprint it,
It's a number.
there's a charge on it.
Okay.
So you gotta either go they have to send their paperwork into them and let them reprint it, or they have to pay a charge and then get the credit back from the
So
AEC.
is the date that it's purchased on the license?
Yep,
So they would know if it's pre when the color's determined,
right, exactly.
shouldn't be a problem.
Yep.
Okay, so that should be, that should be. Anything else about, we got a little way from value payment,
Well, I do have some other,
Do you have any tests that they can administer to these people?
I would be afraid to ask, Mr. Mays.
on 6.3, page 5.
Okay, that resolution comes up a little later, so I put it back away, Tom, give me just a minute.
6.3, you said?
This on the contract?
Yeah, 6.3.
Yes, it's on page 5.
Yep.
Says in the middle there, it's at the, without limitation, merchant will comply without limitation the rules promulgated by the credit card associations, payment card industry, PCI, data security standard, Visa card holder, information security program, MasterCard site data protection program, the Federal Trade Commission electronic communications rules of the Can-Spam Act, and the privacy requirements of the Graham-Leach Act. Okay, so I assume that our council will go through this on those particular ones, see what we're liable for there, what we have to comply with.
Yeah, and again, this is boilerplate language, it's the same
Well,
as the one
maybe,
we've
but
already
that's a
approved.
lot of different rules that they,
I know.
and their own rules that they make up, not something
But
that's in the
we've already
contract.
gone through that with the other one, so I'm sure he will review that again. It's standard for the industry.
Well, I just don't think the industry is very forthcoming on many things. And then on page 6, miscellaneous promotional services. We don't have to spend any money to do this, right? We're supposed to promote the use by the taxpayers, not limited to the point of sale materials for the e-payment system, publishing the relevant URL with the web e-payment system. We have to have it on our website, on all our bills, billing departments, notices, and all related promotional materials. The whole section there, promotional services,
Not a problem,
how much does it cost?
nothing,
But we have to put it on all of our bills, right?
no.
It's just,
That's what it says.
I would assume if you put.
It's a DEC bill, we're not putting that on the,
Right, well, they give you all of these stickers to put, you accept MasterCard, Visa,
Is
Is
American
that like the
Express.
stickers that Jackie has in the window, the
Yep.
business card sized?
yep, making them
Yeah,
aware.
those were the things that were for water and sewer, those yellow
Yes.
stickers.
Put on the website that you now take 47 flavors of credit cards.
And if there's any lawsuit, we have to deal with it in Tennessee, right? Davidson County, Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, Tom, I really believe that's what, Jim and, or his council is going to do, is he's gonna go through this, and he's gonna,
Well, if we're voting on this next time, I just want to bring up the things.
Well, there was a few things I know that Jimmy challenged on last time, that we had to change the wording on the contract. So I would assume that it'll be
Same.
pretty much the same. The only difference between Jackie's contract and mine is I take all the credit cards, everything, where she takes Visa and whatever that, Visa debit card for the thing, where I'll be able to take anything. So it doesn't make any difference. And now they got that new thing, the e-check that you can print, so, we're gonna have the ability to do that too, so.
Go, Rick. I've got those notes, Tom, I'll make sure counselors aware those sections are of special concern to you.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Next item on the agenda is the town board informational meetings. You've got the, under supervisor's report, you've got the notice that we go out in the schedule. Later in the agenda, we have the resolution to adopt this. We put this up here first to see if there are any questions or thoughts or concerns with the schedule.
Yeah, for me, you know, see, meeting in the town hall for East Morrisonville, West Plattsburgh doesn't really make that much sense. I like Michael's idea of meeting in the firehouses at least where we can.
Yeah,
That way you have somebody, you can meet in a place on Wallace Hill, close to where people are. And,
Wallace Hill, we've met at the rec
Are
park.
you suggesting we don't meet in the rec park, but meet in the fire station?
I am.
No,
Part of the reason I'm making that recommendation is for two reasons. One is I think it's an opportunity for us to develop a stronger relationship with our fire districts. The second thing is, I believe all of them, but don't quote me on this directly, that I believe they each have the the electric signs that could be very easily say, this is when we're having our regional or town informational meetings, and it might drive in some stronger attendance. The fire departments, I think, may also be very interested to make this event by itself, or encourages folks to come and check out the fire the firehouses and stuff like that as an open house. So I think there's really a win-win situation for us to collaborate stronger with our fire departments. And while we each liaison with a particular district, I think it would benefit us all to get around and see each of the fire districts, so.
Every Monday night, there's a meeting at every fire
Right.
station in Clinton County.
Right.
Onto it, so.
But
This,
they have
this would be a
fire
conflict with that.
department meetings.
Pardon me?
And
This would
we-
be a conflict.
well, not necessarily, it might be actually very
Well, they have-
informative.
Yeah, they
type
have a
of
work
thing.
session and, the same thing, they have like a meeting of what transpired in the last week, and then they clean the trucks and redo the supplies and all of that stuff.
And we're actually not there very long, and take Cumberland Head, we're already currently using their facility. If their meetings are Monday, it hasn't been a conflict as
No,
of yet.
because they were downstairs
Right.
and we were upstairs.
Exactly, so there may
When we
be a
had the
way to
last one,
accommodate
yeah,
us and them, build in an audience, build a stronger relationship with fire districts, and also encourage more residents of the town to come out and, participate in the meetings, so.
I don't have that draft, do you have an extra one?
I don't have an extra one here.
Yeah.
That should be in the front part of
Should
it.
be early.
Should be in the-
Page in here.
Not the third or fourth
There's
page
another
in.
Oh,
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
you bounced around.
That might be a good idea, because they're already there, and by the time we get there, that, their meetings will probably, everybody's out in the fire base anyways with the trucks, so.
And they might fold it into their programming, so, to allow us to come in, it builds in an audience, here's some, and let's be honest, some of these meetings as we've done it last year are not really,
Attended.
No.
people aren't beating down the doors, so I think for us to collaborate with our fire departments and allow for some of our residents to create a built-in audience would not be a bad thing, to hear some of their issues, suggestions, and vice versa, be able to share some information with them as well, so.
Okay, so is it your suggestion, for example, on April 27th, that we would not go to the May Courier location, but that we would do both the, we would meet with District 3 Fire Department at the Wallace Hill Fire Station?
Yeah.
And that would be a meeting that would encompass both Wallace Hill, Tom Miller, and the
I would say so.
And likewise, we have the South Plattsburgh
Fire.
recreational one and Cliff Haven, and should we be able, this has to be worked out, we have to check with the fire departments, but once that's done.
Could I suggest that our liaison might contact, who is District 3? That's you, I think, Tom, isn't it?
Yeah.
That each liaison would contact the fire district to ask those
Yeah.
questions, see if it, and I would be sensitive too. We know you have a meeting, we'd like to work with you. Make sure there's no parking issues, and contact them, trying to keep the same date in time. We don't have a lot of days to pull this off. One of the other things that surfaced, I looked back at the resolution, has us starting at 6:30. We had changed that last year, but it's not changed on this notice. So we would be in District 3 at 6:30, and then go to Cumberland Head for 7:45, I
You got
guess.
two different pieces of paper.
Right.
In the package.
And this one's not 6:30.
Right, you got this, and you got this.
Right.
Okay.
Before we got to the resolution, I wanted to have discussion about the agenda. So Tom, you would take care of that. Who has South Plattsburgh? I just don't know offhand.
I
You
have
have
South
that.
Plattsburgh and
All right.
Cliff Haven.
So you would check with that department and so on and so forth. And let me know as soon as you find out.
Yep.
The other thing, is everyone comfortable with that we changed the 7 o'clocks to 6:30? We had started earlier last year, the resolution has it earlier.
Well, one, just so that it might have an impact on what you're talking about. We're not gonna go to two
Yeah.
locations. We're gonna combine them.
Or I thought we still were doing 2.
But there's not 2 fire stations in,
No,
No.
but you would go to District, for Monday, the 27th, you go to Wallace Hill,
Right,
District 3, and then you go to Cumberland Head Fire Department.
right. We're doing 2 locations.
You'd still do
Okay,
2.
So you
Yeah.
do 6:30,
Right.
and then.
And 7:45 is too late, that's not right either, I don't remember what we did. I think we left at
You've got it down as 6:30 and 7:30 on the resolution. One starts at 6:30, the other starts at 7:30.
that sounds right,
That's what's on this one,
Yeah,
6:30 and 7:30,
30.
okay.
that sounds right.
And we'd explain that, meeting doesn't have to go from 6:30 to 7:30, it will go as long as there's
But
interest and.
I think it, again, it's an opportunity to encourage them, that by allowing us to utilize their space, it's an opportunity for us to connect with members, local residents, and, maybe they wanna do an open house of sorts where kids and their families can check out the equipment and tour the station in the same evening. So I think there's really some win-win opportunities there.
And East Morrisonville, West Plattsburgh, would we do that in the Morrisonville Fire Department? We're in the town of Scholar Falls now. I know they also serve us, but I just want to be clear.
You've lost me.
The
Monday,
last one,
June
on Monday, the
22nd
22nd.
is normally at the town hall. Are we going to do that one in the Morrisonville Fire Station? Town of Scholar Falls, doesn't matter, they still serve town of Plattsburgh. I would assume so. Somebody's a Morrisonville liaison, right?
that's me.
Okay, so you'd contact, Kevin, yes.
No, I think it's a good idea though to go to the fire station, you get to meet the fire chief and the counselors that are there on the board, so.
Meg, we'll keep that one at 7, because it's the only show that night.
What are you gonna do with Federal's Mills?
Bernie, you have a fire station on Hammond Lane.
Hammond Lane,
District 3 on Hammond Lane.
So you could,
do District 3 twice, but we get to Hammond Lane that way.
Yeah.
That'd be the closest one.
It doesn't matter,
You get
I
two to
think
talk
that
about
it's not absolutely necessary that we go to each one. I mean, if there's another place that we haven't covered, like Treadwell's Mills, you can go to the recreational building.
Yeah,
And
and
Treadwell's Mills, I don't think that it's,
I mean, you would
Like-
hit
Wait a
District
minute,
3
you
in
take
Wallace Hill.
everybody to their fire station except Treadwell's Mills, where you're gonna take them to the recreation.
And why not go to Hammond? Tell you the truth, I haven't been in that
The
station.
Hammond Lane Fire District.
Spend a lot of money revamping it, so.
Sure, I'd like to go in there,
Yeah.
for the same reasons.
I think it's a good opportunity to expand our outreach program, so.
Well, it's like I said, you get to meet the fire chiefs, you get different fire chiefs, different lieutenants, different captains, and the board of directors,
And those people are really, really dedicated.
right, oh, yeah, and it's-
the
That
amount
would
of
be the
training
one
they
good
go
thing of
through.
that night, they would all be there.
yeah, right, that's every Monday night, that's what I said, you know, there's, and they take that stuff to heart,
They do.
yeah, very much so.
I think they'd appreciate it.
Yep.
It's a good idea, Michael.
All right, so be it, let me
So we're
know
gonna
as
have
soon
to
as
do
you can
that.
confirm.
We're gonna have to do that soon.
And you're gonna
Right away,
Let
yeah.
you
To
know.
do Katie.
I do cater. Yep. All right, moving the agenda a little bit forward. North Country Life Flight, all I have at this point is a letter I wanted to make sure and share with everyone. I'll start with Rick, just move it around. Letter of appreciation for our support in their service and in their mission.
No, that's what, we've all got copies.
Everybody got a copy? Okay,
Yeah.
Debbie made copies, good. I also have copies of the, well, I'm not there yet, backhoe sale to building and grounds. We've got more information on that with the resolution. When I initially put that on the agenda, the end of the week last week, like I said, a lot of things happened in between. I wanted to make sure that everybody understood the process. This is a backhoe that Highway Department no longer uses, they've replaced. We bought it brand new, so we know the history, the maintenance history of this piece of equipment. Building and Grounds really feels it would be a steal for them to buy it at the price that Highway would otherwise get, which I believe is $10,000. I asked Art to find out what $10,000 would buy. I said, you know, we know it, but I want to know, are we the best deal? And he immediately said, of course, we bought it new, we know the history, I know, I know, but we still need to know what else would $10,000 buy. And when you get to the resolution, I think you'll see copies of that there. So again, it might have been, sometimes by the time we get to the resolutions, the discussion's over, and I didn't want that discussion to be missed before we take action on it.
The other thing is, in terms of these, it might seem kind of strange, okay, one department's saying we need a new one, and we need to get rid of this one, and the other department's saying, well, we'll take it. But the highway department uses it constantly, summer, winter. The buildings and ground department will be using it once a week or you know, but anyway, on occasion, not all the time, so it will last longer. And according to Superintendent of Highways, the only thing that it will need in the somewhat near future is a radiator, which isn't that expensive when you're talking about a piece of equipment like that. So as far as he knows, it doesn't need any other immediate repairs. But if it did have to keep knocking through the kind of frost we have and the other things that we have to kind of work, it wouldn't last.
And it's tough many times, I mean, you see it when you're here, we share among the departments, but there are times when it's that season, building and grounds, highway, water, sewer are all using all the tools and all the men. And to go in and say, I need some guys and I need some equipment, means that department is down. You'll also see, just for the record to verbalize it, when he went out to see what else was available, comparable used pieces of equipment, they range from 25 to 13.9. So it's a good deal, we think, all the way around. Any other thoughts on that before I move us along a little? Newsletter update. We talked about that a little last time, and there were some questions. One of the questions was, what was the postage? The rec department just did a mailing, and I don't know, I've got one of these for everybody, let me just get that right now. And this is maybe more in tune with the direction that we should go, with the goal being to get more of these out there and keep the costs down. It's not that high gloss, it's color, it's not as thick. Postage is always an item. They spent $1,532. we spent $1,142 last time on postage. So they're comparable and rates went up. They mailed 3,953 pieces, we mailed 3,992 pieces. So, you know, yeah, it's the same thing. And I spoke with Mel a bit, and she said they do take the time to go through the list and make sure duplicates don't get to homes. I know there are now and then we'll get something at home and it's occupant, and I get one of my name, one of my wife's name. Yeah, we didn't need two of those. So it looks like we're clearly talking that neighborhood of, $1,500 to do a mailing. We've got right now $6,500 in the budget. Last time it cost us $23.50 to produce the newsletter, $500 to the editor. The total was $39.92. We were just under $4,000. We currently have, as I said, $6,500 in it. I think by changing the type of production, at least we need to look at it to something a little more like this. If we're going to shoot for a quarterly, we don't need to have the publication as thick as it is. And I think Meg, you brought up the idea that we get the fluff out, where there's a message. And I think we can do that with departments. We'll give them a certain number of words based on the column space they have. And there are some themes. We don't just want to be the cheerleader, wave the flag. That's expensive. So I'm still of a mind that we can do a summer, and we could do a winter this year. We haven't done one. Nobody's attacking us over it, and that's kind of unfortunate. Someone again today made a comment about Cernax, which is a very very modest newsletter. It's basically a mimeographed black on white, and people look forward to that. But they want to know what's happening now. And I think going quarterly would do that. So we mentioned that last time. Those are the numbers. Unless someone has a concern, we will start going forward with that. Maggie offered to work on that again. We could set up a time to meet and get going. And our plan will be to produce a summer, I don't know which month in particular yet, and then a winter. So we get two out this year. And
We should shoot for June probably. Get out at the beginning of the summer, be good.
maybe a late fall, early winter, so we get the two, but one quarterly. With every department, yours, Rick, there are a lot of seasonal things. Jackie's. Many times by the time we got the news and it actually got printed, it was old news. So departments were making it kind of a vanilla sort of report, and it lost some of the substance. This size, we can turn around faster too. Okay, so I'm not hearing any violent objections. We will begin that process. The next item, transporting crude oil in New York State, the Clinton County Oil Train Task Force. I think you're all very conscious of the task force. Tom Wood, I believe, has been sitting in on those, been very concerned, as has Phil Von Bargen. The last few days, there's been a real flurry to get some resolutions draft. We have a supervisors meeting coming up, and there'll be a report to that group also. And there's a real effort to solicit some support from the other municipalities. We have 3 resolutions and a cover sheet. These, the ink is still a little bit wet, so be careful with your fingers. I'll give you the cover sheet information first of all. You take one and pass the rest along. Remember to keep a copy for Mr. Coughlin. I'll do that later.
Did you
Here, I'll
by
keep-
chance happen to read the controller's report on the crude oil thing on Friday?
I skimmed through it today.
It's
It's,
it's an awakening thing.
yeah, it's awakening. All right. There are 3 resolutions. They're drafts. They're more easily noted by resolution number 015, 1XX, 2XX, and 3XX. There are also three different titles. One is targeting the feds, another is targeting the state, and the other is targeting the railroad and oil companies. This one is my number one. There's not any formal other order, I believe, which is targeting the feds. The next one, again, it's just my order today, which is 2XX, is targeting the state.
Sorry.
There's a lot of redundancy in these, so they will look somewhat familiar. Again, the name of the resolutions is unique. The third is one that would be mailed to the oil companies and railroads. One of the important things, I think, to note that this group has done is, if you look at the very last resolved, as I understand it right now, if we pass these, and I am hoping to have these ready for our next regular meeting, which is April 6th, if we pass these, we will do a certified copy of each, get them to the Clinton County Oil Train Task Force, then they're going to bundle these and see that these en masse get to each of the recipients noted in the last resolution of each. Tom, I don't know if you have any other comments you want to make, because you've been working on that.
Did you have a third resolution?
There, yes, the third one
Or
should
they
be,
didn't get past this one?
Marty, move those along.
Been a lot of research done, and was mainly a committee of members of different boards, town boards, city, throughout the county, two county legislators. Perry McManus is one of the ones that was one of the lead people, along with Rochelle Armstrong. Rochelle is mainly a lead person, but certainly he contributed quite a bit, and Phil Van Bargen did quite a bit of work on it too. As everyone contributed something. Colin Reed wrote up the first draft of the one for the federal government in terms of these. It was debated as to where we should go in terms of our charge that was to educate people and to look into the seriousness of this and what could be done to protect the residents, not only of our community, but all the communities along the path that these take, which is the western side of Lake Champlain, all the way from Montreal, all the way down to Albany. Obviously, Albany is one of the key areas, and they've had a group that's been working to try to slow this process down or stop it. The Canadian government has also found that in their last time that they had a derailment, they decided that maybe they should not only try to improve the weak cars that they don't want running with this particular oil, but that they should put a thermal barrier in between the layers of the car to keep it any fire from spreading to other cars, etc. if they were damaged. It's going to happen. It's going to be an accident here in New York. There's accidents happening constantly, and you've read about many of them throughout the country. The types of things that they're transporting. Eric Day's on this from the emergency management, and he's been trying to keep up with it. But there's also a problem with them knowing, first responders knowing exactly what's in some of them. Some of them are labeled, but they might be labeled improperly. They're labeled as crude oil, but they might be a different type of that in terms of, well, Tim Palmer's been giving me some information, and he's an expert in this particular area, but it's the dilbit type of thing, and also a different kind of, let's see, bitumen that can be diluted, and then that's one of the things that they're calling for, is to dilute this stuff before it comes. But with the addition of propane and related compounds, and usually the primary solvent is benzene. Well, the problem with this is that this particular solution is as explosive as the magnetic, how do you say that? Magnetic train, after its initial explosion. And what it does is the gassy part basically heats up the bitumen to its flash point to get it burning. And it will burn hotter than the Bakken lights, and it burns much longer. In fact, it's impossible to put out once it starts burning. The biggest difference is that it contains about 10% sulfur, which is, I think, worse, because with a mix of oxygen, sometimes this will, with the sulfuric acid and the heating it up, you'll have sulfuric acid, and you'll have that gas that could wipe out communities. I mean, it could be, you'd have to evacuate whole communities, and much wider area than just one simple explosion. The explosion itself, I mean, but then the gas and the everything from it would cause it. So these are really serious things, and I believe that, and I might not have every one of these things exact, but we have the information. It's vital that we stop or slow down this process. People in Albany have done that, I think, until they can come up with safe ways of transporting, which personally I don't think is by rail. But that's to be debated as to how it's going to be done. Right now it's going to be done by rail, and that's the way it goes.
If I may, Tom,
Yes.
they've slowed the process down by preventing the company from expanding their operation in Albany. I think that's really, at this point, all that they've managed to do.
Is that further expansion, Tim? Because I know they've extended it, so the point that they've been operating on would be allowed, but no more beyond that?
They actually wanted to begin to receive the bitumen from the tar sands. They had asked for a license. They were talking about getting the pure bitumen, which they would have to heat up to make it flowable, which means that they would, I'm not sure how they would do that if they would heat the whole rail car. What is customarily done to make it flowable is, as Tom said, mixing it with primarily benzene. That's the only way you can get it to go through a pipeline, for example, and that's how you would put it in a rail car and take it out of a rail car. It's very dangerous stuff, as Tom was describing. But I think their license to be able to work with the bitumen was not granted. And that, the Albany group would like to stop the trains, that's where they're coming from, and they would like the support of the communities along the route. It's of interest to all of us along the route, because if the trains can't go into Albany, they won't go down the line at all. There's no place else for them to go. So I shared that information with Tom and Rochelle. Not sure, I know there was some email back and forth today between the Pause group in Albany and Rochelle and Tom. So, you know, hopefully they'll.
Are there groups in between Albany and Clinton County?
Not specific groups that I'm aware of. Essex County, isn't there a group there? I know that there have been participants. We had a get-together last summer that I spoke at. People came over from Vermont, people came from Essex County, and also from Albany. But I don't know who would be the leader, for example, of such a group.
I thought there were some people from the Willsboro area.
I'd be surprised if there weren't.
Yeah,
There
there
are.
definitely are.
There are
Yeah.
some.
But I don't know, if you would like, I can try to get your names down along the
I'm just not sure that they're as organized and have this type of
I'm gonna read these with a lot of interest, Tom. One of the things that I've been following is, the American Society of Civil Engineers, does a report, pretty much every year, and it dates, it's usually about 1 year off to my understanding, but back in 2013, their report card stated that 4,718 of the 17,420 bridges in New York, which is about 27%, okay, were considered functionally obsolete. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is not only do you have this, very volatile mixture of things going throughout our communities, is that the infrastructure along the route has not been maintained, that, that could be the thing that tips over. And I think as you look at your resolution, I think it's also a great opportunity, because so many people are hopefully going to pass it, that we bring up the need for more investment in our infrastructure. Not only train, rails, but infrastructure is one of those things that just because you can't always see it, doesn't mean it's not needed. And it's very important, it's glove in hand type of stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be necessarily the rails, although we do know that from even personal reports from different people, that the rails are not good.
Yeah, a bridge failure could equal disaster.
But a bridge, over a body of water or over a city or something would be even more dangerous.
That's the thing also about this particular route. You guys have this picture, right? So, the trains go right past the lake, which is a source of drinking water, and
I was just wishing page 2 showed that same train when it was going right through the heart of the city. Those are the two extremes.
have any of you seen the video that's online? Someone, can't remember his name.
I think it's,
Fred-
not Steve Frederick's, his brother,
I'm not sure.
Paul Frederick.
Paul
Yeah.
Frederick. He did a drone flight in which he took a very nice film of an oil train. It's quite impressive. I suggested online it'd be nice to get one of them going right through town
Yeah.
with the drone flight.
I was sitting in the mayor's office last summer, and that's when I had my first visual, when I looked out the window and it went, and it went, and it
Yes.
went, which seemed like forever.
Well, in the blast zone, if you're sitting in City Hall, you are in the blast zone.
Sure, I got out of there. Tim, do you, your professional, personal opinion, do you feel there is a safe way to move that oil south?
You're asking somebody, I have a very strong bias about fossil fuels and what we have to do with them, or not do with them. So the way that I view an oil train or a pipeline is that it's something that in the long run isn't safe just because of the nature of burning carbon. I think it could be safer. I don't think there's any way for it to be perfectly safe.
Mm-hmm.
And they could definitely improve it, though. They're in a big hurry to fill those cars at the other end, and they like to fill them with lots of extra frothy, gassy, explosive stuff because they get paid for the whole car.
Mm-hmm.
They could be degassing them. They could even be putting them in pressurized cars, but that would be way too expensive. I mean, you could ship it in the same stuff you ship the propane in, pure propane.
And it's I was in a conversation with I'll leave it at the description of a community leader who saw the increased cost as a result of improving safety, and literally was concerned to the point of verbalizing some strong negative about this movement, because it would simply raise the cost of fuel, would raise the cost of gas, and it's like, whatever, we need it,
Right.
keep it down, do what you gotta do. So, I mean, it's interesting. I applaud, what you're trying to do, Tom, and Phil.
I would say though, in terms of that it does not have a benefit to the United States. It's to be shipped abroad, and that's where it's going. There's not a market here, it's not being sold here. all this that's being transported through is just going through to go abroad. And yeah, it might be refined, and there might be some profit in Louisiana and some profit in a few other places in Texas and stuff. But basically, it's they say energy independence is not helping us at all.
Well, and just really quickly, Bernie, in terms of cost, we have to raise the price of the cost of carbon because it has hidden costs.
Doesn't that tend to make the cost of alternatives more affordable when that happens?
It does. It makes them more
So,
competitive.
yeah, necessity becomes the mother of change.
Absolutely, and innovation.
But I applaud what the group is doing. I know your concerns, Tim, for the environment at large. And Tom, thank you for the time, and Phil Von Bargen, certainly, they're representing us well.
He's put a lot of work and effort into it.
He has, he's really embraced this, and
So has Eric Day. Eric Day's been a real source of information too. Everyone on the committee has been contributing